Good Friday, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Today is my birthday out there. It's January 8th, 2021. And of course, we've got our birds here on a cold, cold January morning here with lots of sunshine and convergence and confluence over the atmosphere this morning. And it's cold outside. We'll get to that in a moment. This is the in-depth video forecast discussion for the weekend here coming up, and also to talk about storm potentials as we move forward. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith. And starting out on the national scene this morning, there's some shower and thunderstorm activity getting into and off of the southern Florida coast here of the Keys this morning. Here's our upper level low and storm system for the southern mid-Atlantic region, and it's getting kind of crushed here to the south, and the reason why is because if we take a look at the low-level water vapor imagery, we can definitely see the suppression of this system to the south as it's getting organized here over the southern mid-Atlantic region. Lots of dry air subsidence in place here. Here's our upper level low spinning just over Nova Scotia here in southern Canada, and this is allowing for suppression of this shield of precipitation to get any further north. Sure, there is some cloud cover on the upper and mid variety here, but all of this is cirrus and getting stretched out, and also there's lots of dry air in the low and mid levels of the atmosphere as well. I want to take a look at the visible image here this morning. Lots of things going on too. As the sun comes up, we'll just put this, see if we can just stop this here and get to the end. There's some cloud cover here across the area, but if we go into the localized sectors, we can do this nicely, and we can basically see that we've got some cirrus cloud cover here stretching from the upper level compression here that's going on with our upper level low here well over Nova Scotia and our storm system to the south. So some cirrus clouds this morning and high middle level clouds this morning, but all of this is getting really sheared apart here, and we've got a dry atmosphere in place. Let's go into New Jersey local here from New Jersey Weather Network at Rutgers University. It's cold on my birthday this morning, which normally is the case. It is, after all, January 8th here in the New Jersey, New York City, Philadelphia I-95 corridor. We've got current temperatures now running in the low to the mid-20s to the low and mid-30s across the region. We had some minimum temperatures this morning, which were also quite chilly, but we have some wind chill temperatures as well. This shows up. Interesting. And the wind chills currently right now are basically making it feel like it's in the around 20 degrees in Sussex County here at High Point, 10 degrees in the valleys here, and then it feels like it's in the upper 20s and basically the upper 20s throughout most of the area. That's what the wind chill feels like. Dew points are very dry too. They're basically in the teens to low 20s, and that makes the relative humidity values this morning running in the 60 to 80 percentile range. Let's take a look at the wind speeds right now. The wind speeds are all out of the northwest and west here, southwest here across southern New Jersey, and they're very light. And the wind gust, well, they're generally pretty light. They're about 10, 15 miles an hour. Most spots even lower than that this morning. Let's take a look and see if we can pull up the visible. No, they changed that. Satellite goes imagery. We show that. Storm Prediction Center's 500 millibar surface analysis this morning. Basically, it's showing us where the upper level low is, and the jet structure across to the south of this is our upper level low now getting into the Tennessee River Valley here. This is refreshing. Here's our upper level low across southeastern Canada, and this airflow stream here tells me that this storm system is exiting off the coast because of compression, divergence, and convergence and confluence over the northern mid-Atlantic region. Weather Prediction Center's surface analysis this morning. Here's our low developing off the South Carolina coast here. Our upper level low is back through the Tennessee River Valley area. And notice this upper level low here over southeastern Canada and Nova Scotia. And between this and this, is confluence and convergence, and so that's sinking air, and that's the reason why everything is getting sheared apart. Let's look at the fronts here for this afternoon. Starting this morning off with our low pressure area off the South Carolina coast by this afternoon. That heads out to sea, a little bit tries to deepen, and we get some snow here now from the Virginias and back down to the mountains of the Carolinas here, and some rain to the east. But as you can see, this system is heading out to sea as it deepens tomorrow morning, with our upper level low still over Nova Scotia and not going anywhere. And that's why we have suppression of this storm. Here's our new storm coming into the Colorado Rockies here on Saturday morning and Saturday night, and that's going to head down to the Arklatex area. It looks like it's going to dump some snow now through portions of New Mexico, the northern foothills of Texas here, and into Oklahoma as well, and Arkansas. And then as we head into Monday, the storm shifts now to the Mississippi River Valley, and the Gulf moisture increases, but this storm looks to get sheared apart too and head out over the coastal waters by Tuesday morning off the southern mid-Atlantic coast. Now, this is where things are going to get interesting, because this is what the latest progs from the Weather Prediction Center show. But there is definitely some different model guidance here. Now, what we do know with the polar vortex splitting into multiple parts here over the next couple of weeks, the downward turn in 7 to 10 days means that a lot of chilly air is coming into Arctic air, cross-polar flow actually coming into the northern mid-Atlantic and all of the eastern United States and all the way down through Florida. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Of course, the areas here shaded in the blues and pinks here across northern Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, River Valley area, all subjected to winter storm warnings, winter storm watches, and winter weather advisories in these areas here. There's very slight things going on to the west of the Continental Divide here, but this is going to improve over the next couple of days as the next system gets in here, and then in here, and then somewhere in here off the East Coast on Tuesday. Last year on my birthday, I was in Florida. And it pretty much looked like it does today at this year. That was 2019, prior to COVID-19, and obviously temperatures here today getting into the 70s, mid and upper 70s in Royal Palm Beach and West Palm Beach. Last year, though, there were lots of rip currents and strong surf from a storm system that was building in easterly winds from off the ocean, so the surf warnings were up and really couldn't go into the water, but went into the pool and had a good time. This year is quite different with COVID-19 not traveling anywhere, maybe just day trips and this weekend and some dinner and lunch arrangements. Well, it's quite cold for max temperatures over the upper Midwest. In fact, most of the country is pretty cold, with the exception of the Intermountain Southwest here and also portions of Florida. Tonight's minimum temperatures, well, that's getting quite cold here. It's in the teens, as you would expect, across most of the region, lower 20s. Even in Texas, it's in the low to mid 30s. Even in Florida, it's quite chilly. Temperatures ranging from the upper 30s, lower 40s in the north part of Florida, all the way down into the 50s to around 60 in the Keys. Now, as we head into the next 7 days, the max temperatures are really quite chilly, still warm in Florida, but still cool. Now, this is where this is where things get interesting. I wanted to step out here into like day 6 and day 7 of next week for temperatures, because a lot of this is really going to be dependent, and I don't buy actually into this forecast right now, because day 4 and we in day 5 here, got a lot of Arctic air building in, and with the exception of Florida, most of the country is going to be much chillier than is being advertised here by the National Weather Service temperature grids. Well, in the teleconnections here, the North Atlantic Oscillation is definitely in a high latitude blocking regime here. As we move into the middle part of January on all model guidance, well, that's the European EPS. If we went into all model guidances here, and that includes the EPS, the European Operational High Resolution, the Japan model KMA, the GFS version 16, which is out now, the GFES ensemble guidance version 12, and the Canadian model guidance, all showing this deep evolution of blocking in the North Atlantic here during this time frame of my birthday, and it stays primarily negative through the later part of January. With the southern stratospheric warming event that's ongoing, the Arctic oscillation is in negative camp here on all model guidance, and it will continue to be this way through the end of January, according to most, if not all, of the model guidance. Now, the PNA, that's positive now, so that's a good sign for East Coast troughing, but then it dips down the middle and later part of January, with a few of the members here going just near neutral to below that. So we know that changes are on the way. We just don't know how all of these short waves and everything are going to interact. And this is the CDAS stratosphere at 50 millibars, 30 millibars, 10 millibars. Upper reaches here. Look at this, is amazing to see on all levels of the atmosphere here, the sudden stratospheric warming that's going on. And there's likely one event that's ongoing now, a second event that is developing, and a third event too. How this all changes the atmosphere in the northern latitudes here of North America remains to be seen. Sometimes you can have a little bit too much of a good thing, and you can have storm suppression under these influences as well. But this is definitely a signal. If you wanted to see how this works down into the troposphere and all the cold cross-polar flow air that's coming into North America over the next 7 to 10 days, and likely beyond that period through the later part of January and into early February, is going to be downright cold. Now, the question is, does the cold come with storms? And what kind of storms? That's a very interesting question. This is the latest GFS NCEPT stratosphere at 10 millibars. You can see this very, very nicely with the strong stratospheric warming here over the poles of Asia at the stratospheric level here, and our disruption of the polar vortex now being shifted all the way out. And here is another example of another warming event that's ongoing here across the pole. If we move this over, see if we can do this. Yeah, this is the current stratosphere at 10 millibars here, and obviously it is trying to weaken and break up and displace the polar vortex. Here's another warming event that's going on here on the other side of the pole, and this is a big stratospheric warming event that's ongoing right now. What does this look like at jet stream level, 250 millibars? Right now it looks like this, and it's very interesting because here in North America, if we zoom in and see if we can pull this up here in the right side, this is what's going on. Here is our lobes of polar vortexes up here in Canada, across the Arctic regions. Already showing some signs of high latitude blocking east of at the 250 millibar level at the jet stream level here, but it's east-based. It's an east-based negative NAO with this ridge axis on the east side of Greenland. And dual, this is very interesting. This is the reason why this storm here isn't going to make it into the New Jersey coastal waters here, is because we have high pressure over southeastern Canada, low pressure over this area, low pressure over this area. So all of these features combined together are suppressing this storm system. But look how active the polar and Arctic jet streams are becoming. And notice the ridge axis that's building in across Montana. It's slightly west of where it should be for deep troughing in the eastern United States, but it's showing up nicely. And if we move this forward in time, see if we can move this forward by just a couple of days or so and see what the 250 millibar heights look like at that time. Well, lots of activity here. Got a strong subtropical jet stream. Now we're starting to see signs of more of that high latitude blocking building towards Greenland in a negative NAO fashion here. So, and we've got strong jet stream winds coming in from off the Pacific, also undulating around these weather systems to the south here, high pressure off of the coastline here of California. So yeah, got lots of things going on here, folks, and this is a roiled weather pattern which the models are having a difficult time with. Going back upstairs to 10 millibars, here's our southern stratospheric warming event, which is at its apex here on the 11th, just a couple of days from now, about 4 days from now. Here's our polar vortex here beginning to stretch and weaken, and the model guidance is suggesting that this occurs. Here's another example of another stratospheric warming event happening here. So all of this translates to a very cold atmosphere going forward. Let's see if we can move this up in time here to, let's see. So this is the stratosphere on the European model guidance from last night. This morning's model guidance hasn't come in yet, and this is right now as of today. So this is the polar vortex here, another stratospheric warming event occurring here, and a third one here. So this is the current state of the atmosphere. And I really want to do something here. I really want to get into, see if we move this now. That's current. I want to move it out to 10 days if we can get there. We'll take it. Yeah, look at this. This is by the 12th, next Tuesday. We've seen this play out nicely. This is our polar vortex, which is disturbed and breaking off into two branches, with one branch here, another branch here, another branch here. And these things take time to work down into the atmosphere. Look at this. By Monday the 18th, here's our strong stratospheric warming event here, invading the entire polar vortex into three lobes. One over Europe, and the other over Russia and Asia. Another one here over the Northeast North Americas here. So it's going to be very interesting times going forward. If we can get to day 12, day 11, day 10, and we go out to day 10 here, this is going to break everything down. The GFS shows the same kind of thing at day 10, maybe a little bit less than that, but this is a polar vortex being stretched here. But the European model guidance, even the GFS version 16 sees this on Monday the 18th, and it's already disrupting the polar vortex in such a way that we haven't seen this kind of thing in like forever. And on day 16, the new GFS version 16 has two lobes, one over Russia and Asia, the other over Europe. And here is our sudden stratospheric warming here. And by the way, here's another lobe of the polar vortex on the new GFS coming out for the 24th on Sunday here over North America. So if you think that things aren't really going to start rocking and rolling, well, you'd be amiss. Out to day 10 on the European operational model guidance at 10 millibars in the stratosphere. Here is our polar vortex split. Here, here, and here in 10 days from now on the 18th. And even at 50 millibars, this looks interesting. Here's the split of the polar vortex into one vortice here, another over here in Northern Europe, the other in Asia, another one here, and another one getting ready to drop down into North America. So, you know, when we look at the temperature profiles here by day 10, now let's start out with day today. Look at all this warm air at 10 millibars in the stratosphere. This is all the sudden stratospheric warming that's ongoing right now. And as we head into day 10, that just expands. Here is another warming event. Here is another warming event. This one is waxing and waning with a new one on the way. So, you know, with all of this going forward, how does that parlay into our tropospheric weather pattern? And back downstairs in the troposphere from the operational European model guidance here at 500 millibars, the 500 millibar cyclonic relative vorticity here. Here's our storm this morning across the Tennessee and Ohio River Valley in the upstairs of the atmosphere. It's in a neutral tilt. Here comes the next system into the desert southwest in Texas. It's a closed low. But I want to pause here because this is the southern branch of the jet stream here. This is the polar branch in here. So, everything is during a period of convergence and confluence. So there's no or very little interaction between these features until we get into about Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, this is where the next potential lies. We've got multiple vortices here in the polar jet, okay, across southern New England. Here comes the next one over the Tennessee River Valley area. This is going to be for Tuesday afternoon. And notice this jet streak here, which shows the this here hanging back across Texas and Mexico here. Either there's convective feedback or there's something wrong here. And here comes something on the backside in the northern branch here, which is going to have some kind of interaction. But as you can see, there's so much going on with these short waves that by the time we get to Wednesday morning, this is neutrally tilted here off of the Carolina coast, but this one back in here in the polar branch is still too far away to merge. And there's more interaction going on here off the west coast of America too. So between this one here, and this, the models are struggling to depict what's going to happen. And by the time, so therefore they're suppressing the storm potential, obviously, for Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. But again, the model guidance from last night and early this morning is still going to come in. So, there's a lot of change that could still occur and how these short waves interact with each other. But going forward, we definitely can see this happening by the middle of the month. Look at this. This is a deep trough with ridging building here by Friday the 15th of late next week. Strong ridging in the upper levels of the atmosphere right over the positive PNA locations of Montana and Idaho here. Strong ridge east, the trough axis building in positively tilted. And still some vorticity maximums showing up here over Texas in the southern branch or subtropical branch of the jet stream. But as we move forward into the next 10 days here, there's so much action happening in the northern branch, and it seems like it's overwhelming the southern branch from reaching its potential here. But again, all it takes is one or two of these short waves to interact just correctly, and by 10 days out here on January 18th, for Monday the 18th here at 10 days out, we're finding very active, vorticity maximums running in the polar jet and very active subtropical jet stream. It's just a matter of these kinds of things phasing at the right time, and we don't know yet. European model guidance, North American 850 millibar mid-level temperature through the next 10 days. Now, remember, what happens in the stratosphere has the opposite effect in the troposphere. So with all that warming going on and disrupting the polar vortex, so obviously in the troposphere, that's going to relate to very cold temperatures. And we're seeing this in the 850 millibar guidance across the Arctic Circle here, across polar flow coming in through Siberia into Hudson's Bay. And it's showing up even into the 10-day forecast as we head into the northeastern Americas here, as we get into next Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And then again, even a rebuilding of that cold air. Look at this cold air. This is cross-polar flow coming in from Siberia all the way down the pole through Hudson's Bay, all the way into southeastern Canada and the eastern United States. Even Florida can't be saved under this kind of domain. It'll be quite chilly in Florida, but by the time we get out to 10 days, it's just rocking and rolling. This vortex split is going to cause extreme cross-polar flow here from Siberia all the way down through the Hudson's Bay region into southeastern Canada and into the eastern United States before things begin to kind of relax or rebuild. And we can see that rebuilding here at 10 days in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, where the temperatures are like 20, 30, 40 degrees below 0 Celsius from Siberia all the way down to the Hudson's Bay region, and then temperatures really shooting off on the cold side across most of the continental divide here. Well, we're definitely certain of the cross-polar flow and the cold air coming in from Siberia all the way through the northeastern United States. But if we took a look at the 500 millibar heights here, you can see lots of activity going on through the next 10 days with these storm potentials trying to reach the mid-Atlantic. And it's just going to matter how these troughs are tilted and how the northern branch, the Arctic and polar branches, are marrying the subtropical branches of the jet stream. Just a constant rebuilding of cold 500 millibar heights below normal across all of this areas in blue and light greens here. Eastern trough, very active Pacific jet coming in. Obviously, we've seen that in the previous diagram. So, you know, if we continue to see this kind of jet structure coming in from off the Pacific, it's not really going to allow for intensification of polar, Arctic, and subtropical jets to, you know, make winter storms exactitude here in the northern mid-Atlantic. That's for certain. And if they do, it's going to take the right kind of phasing at the right time to turn these troughs negative to allow for these things to happen. But we're not really so sure of that yet. I'm definitely sure of the cold air, the ridging in the west, the positive PNA, the troughing, the Arctic ice oscillation and tank. Also our Greenland block here. As we can see, it's showing up nicely even at 10 days here in the 500 millibar pattern. It's still slightly east-based here. This is an east-based negative NAO. So that, you know, I'd like to see it a little bit more neutral, closer to Greenland here, to be neutral negative NAO rather than an east-based NAO, but all things are still possible even with an east-based NAO. So we don't know the storm potentials yet. We know that they're there. We just don't know the details, and the finality of any of this depends on all of this. So, happy birthday to myself, Elvis Presley, David Bowie, the late great Elvis Presley, the late great David Bowie, and currently Shirley Bassey, as well as myself and many others who are celebrating Capricorn birthdays today. This bird is singing in the Mid-Atlantic region today. The bird is chirping happy birthday. For GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith. You make it a great weekend. And again, you know, storm potentials are there. It's just about the interaction and timing.